Hello and welcome back. Well, I suppose welcome to, in this case, Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. Ah, yes, I return. Finally. You may be thinking to yourself, hey G-Man, where have you been? The heck, it's been like 2 months or something. Well, you see, interesting story. I was going to start this like a month ago, but then a beta came out saying that there's, of course, sirens happen the moment I start recording. Very good. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes. Information on a beta for the next update came out, and it said it was going to wipe all the saves. So I've been waiting patiently for that to come out and wipe all the saves, which it is now done, so that's fine. And then I waited a little bit longer after that because there's always a day 1, day 2, and day 5 patch. So here we are, roughly 2 weeks after that. It is now, what version are we on now? 1.4, oh, I suppose it's right in there, isn't it? Yeah, 1.4.04. And we're going to be starting a new campaign today. Now, it's always a question of what nation to play, really. Right, I should actually, hold on, before we go into it, what even is this game? Well, it's quite literally in the title. Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts. It's a game about, Dreadnoughts, really. The Dreadnought era, I suppose you could say. From 1890 to, I guess 1965 is now what the dates go up to, but the actual time stops around, or the technology progression stops around 1945, 1950. And we live in a mystical world where airplanes aren't real, so the battleship kind of stuck around as the prime weapon of war for the entire early 20th century. There's no real lore to that. That's just the reasoning I come up with for why there's no aircraft carriers. There are submarines though. So in this game, you design warships and you fight with them. And again, as I said, going from 1890 to shared designs. We have various nations with their different ship hulls. Oh goodness, it's taken a minute. And it goes from 1890. It should go up to 1950, I believe. So you can see the variety of warship hulls down here at the bottom. .35, 40, 45, 50. So you can see we get quite the selection from anywhere from like early pre-dreadnoughts to, well, not early pre-dreadnoughts, like pre-dreadnoughts to, well, super battleships that never really existed because the Washington Naval Treaty. And to get back to where we came from, before explaining what this game is all about, we need to pick a nation. And of course, it's the years, it's 1890, it's the early 20th century, in the late 19th century, so we obviously have to play Japan. Because these guys were, this is where they were shining, really. You went from feudal monarchy in like the 1850s to world power beating Russia in 1907 or whatever it is. Whenever that war happened. And yeah, so it's going to be rather exciting. We can obviously start in, we can start in any year, so 1890, 1900, 1910, 1920, 1930. But this time, I think we're just going to go right from the beginning, 1890. We're going to set a random AI opponent, and we have to create our own fleet, and we'll leave the shared designs on selective because all of my designs were wiped a few patches ago. So if I make a ship during our playthrough and the AI wants to use it, go for it, I guess. So what we'll be playing is Japan. The Empire of Japan was formed when Japan blah 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 Meiji Restoration. Very interesting period. Invade Korea, invade Manchuria, fight China, win, get wrecked by the Americans. But that's in the future, so we don't have to worry about it. And we'll be playing. There's only the 3 difficulty modes, so normal, hard, legendary. I would play on legendary, but the AI gets effectively all it does is it gives the AI buffs to their economic growth, which means their economy will grow so quickly that they'll just build so many warships that it's unreasonable. I did play a game a few patches ago as Japan on legendary, and I think really late game I got into a war with the Americans, and they had, unexaggerating, without embellishment here, more than 1,000 ships. And I ended up beating them, completely sinking every ship that they had, and I think the total was something like 1,200 ships in total sunk, with like 12 million tons displacement sunk, or something ridiculous. It's just gonna lag the game if we go legendary. And, taxing the computer while also recording, it's just gonna make the turns really long. So we're gonna go hard for this run. Hopefully that'll be enough of a boost to the economics of the AI that they won't collapse immediately, and hopefully their new ship designs will be far more difficult, because of course with every update they optimize the ship designer for the AI. For our fleet that we start with, we will create our own, so that should be fun. Oh yeah, I'll hover over these so you can see what they are. You can pause and read if you want. There you go. And now I'm going to spend the next 10 minutes generating this, so I'll be back then. And there we are. We have completely generated the past, whatever, 6 or 5 years, whatever it was, 1885 to 1900. It takes a while because it's got to generate every single ship design for the AI for the past, 5 years. So, yeah. And of course, before we start the campaign, we're going to have to design our own ships. So, here we are on the campaign map. We can see all the other great powers around that typically have their own color. Well, they do all have their own color. We have Spain over here, France, the UK, or the British Empire, German Empire, Italian Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Russian Empire, the American Empire, no, the United States, and we go way over here, we have China and the Empire of Japan. Very nice. Or the Chinese Empire. Ooh. And you can see it's 1890, so the Spanish have the Philippines and a whole bunch of the Carolina Islands and some Caribbean islands, as well as the Western Sahara region, this part south of Morocco, and some islands that the Americans have yet to take from them. We can also see like the standard map of Europe. We've got interesting regions, I would say, dividing up the world. We got like a weird divisor. It's quite strange. You'll notice that as we play the game. It's kind of makes sense. Like you could have like actual modern German borders, I suppose, southern Germany, eastern Germany, western Germany. But at this time, I would not consider all of this Poland. You could probably go like along this river, or maybe Silesia. I don't know. But like there were not a lot of Polish people in like this region and this region. But there were a lot here, so it's kind of odd divided. Anyway, you've also got like pieces of what were Poland in Ukraine. It doesn't matter. It's yeah. anyway. What was, what were, whatever. Right. So we have our various tabs up here. We have the world map. We have the political screen, that abomination. We've got finances, research, ship design, fleet, submarines. So politics is how we interact with the rest of the world, as well as see the stats of the world. So we can see everybody's government, and we can see a breakdown of what their people want, or what parties are in power and what their current party does. We can also see their homestay population, other population, army, and most importantly, GDP and GDP growth, as well as active fleet and relations. These are very important pieces of information. This less so because, you're going to fight them anyway, but also very important information right here. Army logistics and army force. We'll get into that more later, but suffice to say, you want this number to be as high as possible, and ideally you'd want to, proportionally, this number to be very high. Unfortunately for the British here, they have, almost 400,000 men, but also almost 400 million people, so they're kind of lagging behind in army force compared to population, and of course compared to provinces. But yeah, we'll get to see the importance of that later once a war starts up. Are there any wars going on right now? I don't think so. Not in 1890. Yeah, doesn't appear so, although we're looking like we're about to start a war with China, which makes sense. This is about the time that happened. Finances. This is our personal finances, so we get our income from the government, our current funds, our crew pool, how many people we can put in ships, all of our types of government, our unrest, our naval prestige. These are important. Shipyard size, so this is how big of a ship we could construct, and this is how many tons of ships that we could build in total at a time, the shipbuilding capacity. Our naval technology, which we'll get into later. We also have all of our costs associated with things. And then, of course, we have the research tree, so we can click on these and see where we're at. You can't see down the end of the tech tree, because sometimes they're out of order, I suppose, I think, anyway. At least it seems so. There's a limited kind of linearity to it, but it's not perfectly linear. It's strange. We can see our various techs for different things. So we've got a compound steam engine unlocked, and we're learning how to make a triple expansion steam engine. In 58 months, we'll have mastered that. Boilers, we've got coal-fired boilers with natural draft boilers. Okay, so basic stuff. Basic stuff, very good. And we have 19th century warship hulls, great. Cruisers, yeah, it's good. You can see all the stuff. We don't even have submarines yet because it's 1890. We actually have submarine experiments. We have a steam-powered submarine prototype. And maybe we're gonna get, or we're developing an electric battery technology. Oh boy, fancy stuff. This is where all of our ships and their designs will be, and this is this is where the classes of ship are stored, and this is where the information on all of the ships that we have built is stored. And then we have submarines. We won't be spending a lot of time in the submarines tab because submarines are extraordinarily boring to play with and see. Basically, you click 2 buttons and the battle is over, and you typically lose. So for now, what do we want to do? Well, as Japan, we are a constitutional monarchy, and we are a nationalist constitutional monarchy, which is like the worst combination of things. Ideally, you'd want to be, well, it's not that bad for your budget, but it's bad for your unrest and your GDP growth, most importantly. Because navies are so expensive, you are kind of tied to how large your economy is. So, because our GDP is only $6.5 billion, or a million? What is that? $6.5 billion. It means our it means our income is limited. I mean, we're still making $18 million, but if we up our tech budget to 100%, now it's 10. We increase the transport capacity growth by to 100% in the crew training, and now we're only making $6 million. And that doesn't include any of the ships that we haven't built or designed and need to maintain. And ideally, we'd want to keep these as high as possible to get as much crew available. Oh yeah, and we're going to need to build new shipyards, expand our current shipyards. So now we're down to $1 million in monthly budget. And we still have yet to design or deploy any of our ships. So yeah, if we could somehow convince the government to change parties at some point, ideally we'd like to be a democracy, because they have the best GDP growth buffs. Ideally we'd be a right-wing party-controlled democracy. Just purely from gameplay perspective, that has the highest GDP growth. But I would settle for getting to a right-wing constitutional monarchy or center-party constitutional monarchy. Just not this nationalist stuff with the minus 27% GDP growth. That's just not good. It's going to mean that long-term our economic growth is going to be collapsing compared to the rest of the nations. Like you can see already, we're only growing at 8%. The Americans are growing at 14%. They're already past us, and they're growing faster than us, so you can imagine what kind of dilemma that leaves us in. We'll never be able to compete, let alone with any of the other great powers. Like, look at this, 11%, 13%, 10%, my goodness. We do have an advantage as Japan, though, because we have a whole bunch of population that is untapped in terms of GDP. So once our GDP hits a certain amount, and our economy can invest in itself, we can actually grow a lot faster because of just how many people live here. But that's future stuff. For now, we'll get into the actual part of the game that's exciting, the warship design. Lots of meta strategy coming out right now. So, what to build? We're going to need a type of navy to, ideally, because we're not really a world power yet, so we want to be kind of neutral with the other great powers if we can manage it in the diplomatic scene. But we could probably expect to fight China relatively soon. So we'd like something that could beat China, if possible. So, probably quite a few Battleship 1s just to get our displacement up there. So we can do naval invasions, which you'll see later is important. Displacement for naval invasions. And ideally they'd be pretty reasonably advanced. So why don't we start with just basics? So we can only build 11,000 ton ship. If we had better shipyards, we could get a bigger warship, but we don't. So 11,000 is the way to go. Or is the only way to go, really. We could go smaller, but we don't want to go smaller. Smaller ships are worse, typically. As the battleship hull is designed to do, we have an optimal cruising speed of 18 knots. I doubt we'll be able to make that, because we only have natural draft boilers burning coal, so that's not likely to happen. So we've got our front tower and our rear tower, which we need. And now we need a funnel. The funnel will get air into the boiler. And that's very limited. Looks like we can't have another one of these. So each of these has their own capacity for putting air into the boiler. And ideally we want to get this engine efficiency to, if possible, 100%. While also limiting the amount of boilers we have, or amount of stacks we have, because the amount of smoke that we put out will limit the visibility of our guns and the ability to range targets and such. So less smoke, better, but also we need to fuel the engines. So, alright, so as I thought, probably not going to be able to do 18. Let's try 16 knots, almost. 15 and a half. There we go, 100.8% efficiency. Wonderful. We got some awful pitch and roll characteristics, but that's fine. Can we go with compound? So I'm just going into it, and I haven't explained anything, I suppose. Have I explained stuff? I don't know. I'm adding boilers to the ship. So these are your rough stats. So you have speed, range, the amount of bulkheads, which is important because it divides your ship up. So if you get shot here, you can close the bulkhead door and then your entire bottom of your ship doesn't flood, which is ideal. You get the beam, which is the width. You can increase it by 10% or lower it by 10%. You can increase them, or you can make them wider or shorter a little bit differently on different hulls. You can also make it deeper, draft, and shallower. It's hard to see because, it's underwater, but suffice to say the ship is getting deeper and lower in the water. Deeper or shallower, I guess, I don't know. And then the quarters affects how many crewmen you have. So if you do cramped, you have a bare minimum of crewmen to operate the ship, and then standard you get a regular amount, and spacious you get excess crewmen really to man the ship. And this is important for when you're in combat, and if you take a whole bunch of casualties in the crew part of your ship, then you're going to want more to replace them, just in case. So you want spacious or standard. Cramped, it'll run fine until you start taking casualties, and then your efficiency starts to plummet as parts of your ship stop functioning. And then over here we have the components of the ship, as it says. So for now we can only burn fuel, or coal fuel, and we can only have natural boilers, and we can only have a basic steam engine. We can have a balanced, unbalanced, or semi-balanced rudder, which effectively controls how fast the ship's rudder will turn. We also have types of steering, so for now only steam. Then we have armor, so we have iron plate, which is really bad, but it's really light and it's really cheap. So if you wanted a lot of ships that weren't very good, you could go with iron. Or if you want some stronger ships, some more higher quality ships, you could go with compound. And because we're Japan, we're going to have a limited amount of ships, so I'd want them to be as good as possible, right? We'd like to project above our weight. Or our capacity, I should say. We want to hit above our weight class, I should say. So we'll go with that. And then we have the type of bottom, single hull, that's all we got. And we only have standard bulkheads, we can't reinforce them yet. And we only have one type of citadel design, which is the interior protected area of the ship. So the whole ship is made of metal, but there's thicker metal in the citadel, and that's where you want to protect. So you can see here on our ship cross section here, this little kind of darker box is the citadel. Down here we have more tabs in the components section, but they're not available yet because we haven't put guns on the ship. We have our armor thickness, and we can alter the armor and gun caliber and stuff like that as we continue on. So for now, we'll just leave it all as it is right there. We want some guns on our battleship. Now, as tempting as it is to go with these twin turrets right here, they're extremely inaccurate right now. So we're going to go with single guns. Like if you look, so this is the statistics of the gun. We have range of the various shell types, the ammunition, the reload time, rate of fire, and most importantly, the key component of this entire thing is the accuracy down there on the bottom here. So, as you can see, at 12,500 meters, we can hit with 0.2% accuracy. Whereas if we go over to the twin 12-inch guns, oh, it's the same. That's pretty good. But you can see you can see further up, the closer ranges. The ranges that we're more likely to be fighting each other in, 5 kilometers to 1 kilometer, 1,000 meters ish. You can see how the accuracy starts to compare. So 4%, 3.6% at 5,000 meters, and 56% at 1,000 meters compared to 62%. So these are more accurate, and more importantly, they reload in a much more reasonable 104 seconds as compared to 156 seconds. And now, if we include some gun rammers for our hydraulic gun rammers for our turrets, now they reload in 93 seconds. Still not good, but, you know, not the worst. Now that we put guns on, we can give our barbettes some better design. So the barbettes are like the area below the turret where all the ammunition is typically stored, or where the ammunition elevator is. You know, the stuff that you don't want to get penetrated by a 12-inch high explosive shell, stuff like that. You want that armored well. And so if we increase the better, if we make the design better, we can prevent explosions more readily, I suppose. We also have the setup for the armaments. We can have a standard, we can select the relative ratio of high explosive and armor piercing shells. So for now, I guess we'll go with the standard ratio. So same amount of HE to AP. For the secondaries, we want more HE because smaller guns penetrate less armor, so we want them to burn more rather than penetrate more. We should probably go with heavier shells. The heavier shells are less accurate, but they make the gun longer range, and typically the longer range counters the less accuracy by making the less accurate part further out, if that makes sense. It does make sense a little bit if you play the game. Most importantly, for a battleship of this era, we're going to want torpedo launchers. Torpedo tubes, I should say, not launchers. We'll have a standard amount of ammunition for the torpedoes. They can only be 15-inch size, and they can only be propelled by steam. Yep. There's not a lot you can do in these early warships. And then, of course, we'll want some casemate guns. So we should probably go with 6-inch guns, honestly. You can sometimes get away with 5-inch guns on capital ships, but the bigger the secondaries are, the more useful they'll be typically. And now we have an almost completed ship, really. Maybe we'll do some like 2-inch top guns. There we go. Look at that. Almost entirely useless, except for maybe if a destroyer gets within 1,000 meters and it decides not to shoot a torpedo at us. We can slowly work it over with these 2-inch guns. Now we come down to the armor, because we have no equipment yet, because there are no rangefinders. Use your eyeball. And no radios yet, so, or at least no practical radios yet, I should say. So now we have to spend our remaining displacement up here on weight, or on armor, I suppose. Because we can't put any more guns on, can't put any more torpedoes on, the guns we have are the biggest. So, yeah, we're left with armor. Suppose we could go, so the belt is the armor around the citadel on the belt line where the water meets the hull, basically. I can't remember if it goes all the way up to the top, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. You can there. Oh, here we go. Covers the warship from the side, starting from the main deck down to some distance below the waterline. Yeah, there you go. So from up here, main deck, down to like there, basically, probably just below where the torpedoes are sitting. That'll be 10 inches thick. And the idea is you want the front armor. You want the main belt able to resist most shells from the ranges that you're going to be engaging at. So you can see on our Mark I single 12-inch by 37 gun that we have a penetration I'm looking at the bottom table here. On the deck, or on the belt at 1,000 meters, between 6.9 to 34.6 inches of armor. So, oh, for that, okay, that's HE. So, 6.9 inch HE penetration to 34.6 AP penetration. So, as you can see, this armor is not going to do much against that, but at the ranges that we're more concerned about, I would say, like 5,000 meters, you might start having some effectiveness versus, 10-inch guns, maybe 9-inch guns. Let's see, 18 inches plus, okay, maybe we want even more. Maybe we'll do 15 inches of belt. Oh, we can only do 12 inches of belt, okay. So, early warships, kind of shitty. So you want to resist as much as you can with the main belt. And then on the fore and aft belt, you want to resist secondary guns, but also have the armor thin enough that ideally the bigger guns will go right through them all the way through the ship. Because the citadel is where you're protecting, the outside is just for buoyancy and, functionality. And it's impractical to try and protect it all evenly because you just can't. It's too heavy. For the deck, this is the armor on the top here. Because we're going to be engaging at such short ranges, I don't know if we even need a 1-inch deck, maybe. We'll probably, we'll do a 1.5-inch deck. What sort of penetration are we looking at for the deck? Nothing. Okay, maybe we can get away with a 1-inch deck. Yeah, we'll go with a 1.5. And then we'll do a 1-inch aft and 1-inch fore. Then they won't be able to penetrate at all. For now, anyway. The conning tower. Well, that's, the tower. The towers, these towers. Rear tower, fore tower. We want that reasonably strong, but also, they're sticking up way above the water line. That's going to be a miss anyway, so things will break on the conning towers no matter what. If you armor them too much, it's just not worth it. Superstructure, though, is like this stuff. Like this. Ideally, we'd like to get that so the secondaries won't penetrate that. And like the fore and aft belt, armor-piercing rounds will go right through them. So if shells go right through the target, it's called an over-penetration, and that does less damage than a full penetration. So you either want to completely block the shell, or you want to be so thin that the shell goes right through you. Because if it stops somewhere in the middle, it's going to set off its own fuse, blow up, and kill a whole bunch of crewmen. So ideally, you want to limit casualties that way. And damage to the ship, of course. Barbette. So this is the armor on the thing that sits below the gun. So this little box below the gun where all the ammo is stored. We're going to make that probably as thick as we possibly can. 15 seems excessive. Because you got to remember that the barbette is behind the main belt. So a side shot will go through the belt and then through the barbette. Ooh, shoot. We've torn off a 6-inch gun by accident. So we got to think about this like 12, 15, plus 38% because of our compound armor. You're probably not going to penetrate that at all. So could probably go down to 13. That gives us 25 plus 38. That's more than 34. Yeah. Right? I think so. Who knows? Math is hard. I think so. Anyway. And we also don't need that much on the top because, again, nothing is shooting at us from so far away that they would hit our deck, let alone be able to hit us in general. Like, look at that. AP penetration at the maximum range of this gun is 0.6 inches with armor piercing. So, you're never going to get through the 2 inches on the top of the turret. Yeah. Now all we have to do is balance the ship, because we're set on range, we're set on... Oh, maybe we want better range. No, we can't afford to, not with a ship like this. It's too early to actually get the things we want. We want a regional power projection right now. So we'll probably do some. Right, we have an offset on the weight. We have a 4 offset on the weight, which means there's more weight in the front than in the back. So ideally, we'd like to shift that backwards by moving our turrets around. That's pretty good. We'll add a little bit of aft belts, not too much. Forebelt and then aft deck. Nah. Well, what if we did that? 2%, and then we did a whole bunch of aft belt armor. 0.1. I guess that's fine. Oh, but a difference of 0.7 inches kind of bothers me. Fine. 0.02 offset. It's fine enough. Especially for a warship like this. The most effective weapon that this battleship has is probably the Mark I torpedoes. Because these guns will not be effective until we're quite literally right in the enemy's face. Anyway, save the design. Now, we're also going to want probably a torpedo boat. These are like destroyers before destroyers were a thing. Destroyers are called destroyers because they're called torpedo boat destroyers. Was the whole concept, because these were such a massive threat to ships like the battleship Kanako here. Man, we can barely go. Can we do 21 knots of 100% efficiency? Yeah, look at that roll rate. Oh my god. Disgusting. Barely have any guns, but the main component of a torpedo boat is torpedoes. We don't care about the aft weight offset. The guns are just for show, really. We want some range on this thing. If we can get it to where the battleship is at, which we can't, but whatever. It's the best we got. Enhanced doesn't matter. No armor on a torpedo boat. Just torpedoes. Just torpedoes and an engine. That's it. Yeah, that seems fine. We don't really care much about torpedo boats. They are literally just throw at a battleship and hope one of the 2 torpedoes that it throws out actually hits. And then we'll build an armored cruiser, the precursor to the heavy cruiser, back before we had a real distinction between types of cruiser. Besides, one is armored and one is not. And of course, it being an armored cruiser, it has no engine efficiency, so we're basically only building this just to have it. We can't put an 11-inch gun on it, so maybe we can put a 9-inch gun on it. There we go. The 9 inches is the threshold for a big gun, quote unquote. We'll do compound armor with a Citadel 1. Seems reasonable. Enhance. As big a casemates as we can get. Ideally, this won't fight much of anything. It'll just be there to project power into probably the Sea of Japan. Probably only have a few of these. We'll probably mostly build the battleship and a handful of torpedo boats. And then we'll need some armor to make up what's left of this. How much can this penetrate? 3 to 17. Can we do an 8-inch? Oh, we can only do 5.5 on the armored cruiser, right? Okay, let's do 1.6, 0.6. My guy, there you go. Okay, maybe a 1-inch, and then we'll do a 0. No, let's do a 0.7. There we go. And then we do a 5-inch conning tower, and then a 3-inch superstructure. Wonderful. And the first inner deck. Oh yeah, this is a deck below the deck. Again, not really necessary because, you know, we're not going to be we're not going to be shooting from far enough away to worry about that. 12-inch barbette, 13-inch side. Let's go with a 1.5-inch top. Again, not going to happen, but, you know, it'd be nice if we prevented it from happening if it did. And then we have a 4-weight offset, so we will get some aft weight and then some 4-weight. There we go. 0.2, good enough. Yes, we have a limit here on this placement, so whereas our battleship was limited by the maximum capacity of every shipyard we have in the country, this is limited to our technology. So we can only build a 4,000-ton heavy cruiser because our technology in the heavy cruiser, or in the cruiser designing, only lets us build 4,000-ton heavy cruisers. Similarly, when we build our light cruiser, hybrid cruiser, let's see, what kind of design do you have? Oh, I like that better, actually. It's kind of a weird blend of heavy and light cruiser. Oh, it's also a heavy cruiser. Fine, we'll do the light cruiser then. It's too bad. I like this layout better than I like the other heavy cruiser, honestly. Let's dump this heavy cruiser. And let's build one here. In the recent patch, they gave everybody a whole bunch of cruiser designs. Now this can theoretically go faster, but 16.9 knots. Look at that. We actually have the space on the ship to get this up to speed. So what happens if we go 17, 18, 19? Oh, okay. So I'm looking at the weight difference. You can see we just gained 10% weight capacity simply by adding another knot to our speed. That's because the hull is designed to only go so fast, and adding any more just kind of pushes the demand for materials. It's all about horsepower per ton, right? You can only get so many horsepower per ton out of a ship hull, right? So if you demand more of it, you just eventually at a point you just stop being able to receive any benefits whatsoever. Oh wow, I like this layout. Look at this. It's so long. Oh my god, but it's so heavy. Ew. Can we do any... Oh, we can do 2-inch secondaries. Look at that. What am I going to do with the rest of the weight of the ship? Maybe we should have just stuck with the other one. So the problem with this is that because we've gone with a longer ship hull, our citadel is extremely long. Like, look at how long it is on that ship. So we've ended up with a situation where it's just too heavy, really. Can we do like a 5-inch top? Oh gosh. Here, let's make this a thin cruiser. Oh man. This is not turning out well. Okay, maybe we'll go back to the other... whatever. We'll use the new cruiser hull. This is super... Oh no, this is awful, actually. I think I'm just going to rebuild that cruiser that I just deleted seconds ago. There we go, one rebuilt heavy cruiser. Now we'll do with... interesting. Yeah, alright, we'll do a slightly different light cruiser, I suppose. This is a new layout. Look at that. It's got an all-steel deck. Interesting. Oh, that's weird. You're going to let me put the... Wow. Okay. The main tower down there and the rear tower there. Interesting. Got lots of spots for good old big main guns. Can I get... Oh, no, I can't. Never mind. Okay, what about 6 inches? No. 5 inches? No. Okay, 4-inch guns? Okay. It's kind of sad, honestly. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely can't do that. We really not do a... Okay, so a 4-inch cruiser. Amazing. Oh, goodness. Oh my god. Oh wait, what am I doing? We don't have a funnel on here yet. What sort of speed can we get up to with this thing? 19.5? Oh boy. Unbelievably fast. Where can I put this main tower again? I can put it... Oh wait, I can put it there. Oh my goodness. Wait, I could even have that gun there? What? Are you serious? That actually works? Wow. Alright then. I mean, who am I to judge? I don't know how to build actual warships. Oh, now we're overweight though. Go down to compound. Oh, we can go out to compound and then 2. Okay, there we go. Got lots of 4-weight offset though. My goodness. We have torpedoes at the back. No, we don't. Oh no. What are we gonna do? How am I gonna offset this weight? My goodness. Awful. Too much weight. Suppose we can make it shorter range, and then slower with one less mast. There we go. Or mast funnel. And that kind of works. Still got 4-weight offset. But I think I'm just going to pair these with the heavy cruisers. Yeah. That is a lot of guns. There's a lot of tiny, very ineffective guns. Can I get a 7-inch gun back here? No, of course not. That'd be too... Oh, I can get a 6-inch gun, though. Look at that. A single 6-inch gun on the back. Yeah, right. Seems rather ridiculous, but that's fine. And then we'll put a whole bunch of aft deck armor on, just to balance it out. 92% weight. Oh, can't forget the barbette. And that's about... Oh, enhanced. We want gun rammers on the cruiser because this is pretty gun cruisery. Although the torpedoes will probably do most of the work anyway. Can we get... No, we can't get a 3-inch main belts. How about a 2.5-inch? Wait, what? 2.7? 2.8. 2.8-inch main belts. And that seems fine. Yeah, that's alright. There we go. Now that we've designed our warships, we can actually get to using them. Grab my water from over here because my voice is slowly dying. Oh, wait, what? So wait, the class was saved even though I deleted it? Alright, well. I guess we'll go with the first design then. Yeah, and now we have to decide a composition. I usually like to go with... Oh my gosh, we can only build 2 battleships. Oof. Oof indeed. Let's build a single battleship, a pair of torpedo boats for it, and then I guess some cruisers. How many cruisers? Oh, we can only build like 5. You can only build 4. So I'll do 2 heavy cruisers and 2 light cruisers, and we'll save the rest of that money for the inevitable economic hole that we're about to fall into. Put these guys in the port. Kyushu, Sasebo, there we go. So we'll have these guys here, base to fight off against the Chinese, I suppose. And then we'll have these guys here in Miyazuru. There we go. And now we can officially start the campaign as we take $5 million in debt every turn that we keep our capacity up. So because of this deficit, I should say, we're going to have a bit of an issue at the beginning. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn down the crew training to 0. And then I'm going to drop down the tech budget a tad until we're at least positive. There we go. We want shipyards to keep increasing because the bigger the shipyards are, the bigger ships we can make. And the bigger ships we can make, the longer they'll be relevant because we can upgrade them with better guns and better rangefinders and such. Transport capacity we want at 100% until we get to 200%, because 200% is the maximum capacity that you can have, and every piece above 200, or every bit above 100% gives you a boost to economic growth. And if you go below 100%, your economy starts to collapse really quickly. So we want as much as a buffer between us, our economy collapsing, or a war starting, and our economy collapsing as we can. For now, we're not going to build any ships because we can't afford to. But we will keep the tech budget as high as possible just so we can try and compete in terms of advanced gunnery and ship design with the other nations as possible. And of course, we have to do some diplomacy. So ideally, you don't want to start any wars at all ever. At least until your economy is so big that you can actually afford a navy to fight with. So I think I'm going to delay the war with China just a little bit if possible by improving relations with them. If we get to -80, there's a chance that an event can occur where we start a war. So if we can avoid that war, that would be ideal. At least until we have enough naval budget to, or enough of a navy built to contest them. So yeah, we'll just start off right away here. We go month by month and get our first true turn in. And this is the month 1 event. This opens up all the canals in the world. So right now, Suez Canal was built, and the Bosphorus Strait is now open, and the Dardanelles Strait is now open, and the Danish Strait is now open, and this strait is open, Singapore, Gibraltar, and there we go. Now we have, this is an interesting event, this is an alliance between the Germans and the Norwegians. The Norwegians are a minor nation, and you can sell ships to minor nations, see? Sell warships, and your minor nation allies can participate in battles if you're at war. You can also supply from their ports, so you get extended range. And, again, you also benefit from their oil resources, which is good. The United States is the same with Chile, Bulgaria, and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And our efforts to improve relations with the Chinese have failed, and we have lost to naval prestige. Naval prestige is important because if it gets low enough, they kick us out of the government. And if unrest is high, then there can be a revolution, and if our naval prestige is low, we can also get kicked out of the government. But if our naval prestige is high, we stay in the government despite the revolution, which is interesting. Alright, so the war with China is still at the same state as it was before, so we may end up in a war with China anyway. Still, but we can also not perform the same diplomatic action 2 turns in a row. So we can't try to improve relations and then try to improve relations with China again, but we can do it with another country. So I think we're going to try and improve relations with probably the French. Because as much as I would like to be friends with the British, being friends with the British tends to lead to a war. And ideally, we'd not get ourselves involved in a war yet. What I'd like to do is get an alliance with a small nation, maybe Korea, or, I don't know, Thailand, if possible, out here in East Asia. Oh, sorry, I skipped over the event and didn't even read it. There are events that can happen. That one, the Austrian Admiral, or the head of the Admiralty, was spending all of his money and had to get bailed out by the government, which we can do, and we take a massive naval prestige hit. And our efforts to improve relations with the French have failed, so we're going to lose more naval prestige. I think we'll stop trying to improve relations for a while, so we can save our naval prestige. And you see our economy has grown even further, so we get $3 million now in monthly balance increase. So we're going to try and dump that back into the tech budget. There we go. We won't expand the Navy until we have until our monthly balance is positive and we have crew training at least at 50%, I'd say. Ideally, it should be at 100% because that'll make our ships be able to project more power into the seas. Oh, right, I totally forgot. We're burning money right now. What am I doing? It's okay. It was only 2 turns. So, our ships can be set to a stance. And right now, because we've just built them, they're set to, I think, fleet in being or sea control or something, and that's costing lots of money. So we want to set them to limited, and that will save us money. Oh, we just unlocked the technology for 13-inch guns and gun cotton, which is a good propellant. Good stick with for a while. Right, fleet. So, oh yeah, see they're in being right now, which we don't want. We want them, so in being is like they're ready, but they're in port. So it's cheap, but it's also not cheap. Limited means they're just kept up to capability. So more difficult to keep your ships at a good training level while the ships are set to maybe yeah, okay, exactly. So we save money doing this, which is ideal because we need to save money because we have no money. Now we can get our crew training up to 100%. Perfect. That's what we want. So the crew training will increase the experience of our crew, which is ideal because an inexperienced crew, especially when your range finding equipment is limited to your eyeball, is ideal. Because if you don't know how far away your gun can shoot, you're going to have a hard time hitting anything. We gain a technology 3,500 ton light cruiser. Very nice. And we get some basic naval formations, technology in maneuver warfare. Very nice. And there's a rebellion in Libya against the Ottoman Empire. And the Libyans are losing, but not by that much, 21-1. It's here. Okay. We're still not at war with China, which is good. We'll try to improve relations again now that we've held off for a month. Ideally, I'd like to see that in like the -50, -60 range. Okay. An embarrassing incident involving one of your wealthy businessmen. We should not interfere with justice. We lose unrest, and we lose prestige with lose relations with the Austrians, which we don't really care about. Or we lose money, and we gain unrest, and we gain relations. Well, we should not interfere with justice. Sorry, bro. But expensive and keep the people happy. Oh, look at that. We got voice tubes with whistle. Look at that advanced technology. Oh, man. Oh, hey, look at that. The relations actually successfully improved. We gain a whole bunch of prestige and a whole bunch of relations with the Chinese. Ideal. More war with, more civil war in Libya. Destroyers, cruisers, and maybe heavy cruisers, but I'm not sure. I think light cruisers and destroyers can deploy mines, and they have a circle radius where if enemy fleets get in there, that's what these are, by the way. These are fleets moving around, so you can see one light cruiser, one heavy cruiser, one light cruiser, one heavy cruiser, two light cruisers, a whole bunch of cruisers. They're the colonial powers. They have a million cruisers and a handful of battleships, probably. Yeah, 10, 3, but 18 cruisers, 22 light cruisers, 19. Wow. Man, the French have the British outmatched on torpedo boats and cruisers, that's for sure. There can be land conflict in this game. And because it's like 1800s land conflict, and it really doesn't update. Oh yeah, people were getting fired as you could pause and read that. Not important. Oh, the Germans took the Koreans. Damn it. I wanted them. There's nothing you can do. That's just by random event, really. Yes, land battles. Land battles are extremely brutal, and they're very slow, and they're vastly affected by army logistics. And army logistics is affected by how much your army is paid and how much control of the sea that you have around your country. You can't necessarily send troops to invade China when you don't have the transport capacity to feed them when they're over there or give them bullets or anything. So, yeah, it's important to have battleships to fight battles and cruisers, ideally to supply or to keep logistics intact, to project power into the ocean so that you're not losing transports and losing capacity for your army to function. Or at least I have experienced that as such. Oh, the Spanish Empire provoked us. Interesting. We are now -10 with Spain. We're only -62 with the Chinese, which is where I kind of want to be. I'd like to avoid a war with Austria for now, although they are very much a warmonger, I find, in these games. They usually end up with a war with half the world, and then a nation kind of puts a single fleet right here, blockades their entire country, and then they collapse economically within 5 years. Same with the Spanish. They're very aggressive, and that doesn't help them. Now that we have some budget to spend, let's see if we can get away with building a single light cruiser and a single heavy cruiser. We can, okay. Maybe we go with a second heavy cruiser and a second light cruiser. There we go. Now we're negative, but not too negative. And we'll put them both in the same port that the other fleet was in. Unless we can't. Oh, yes, we can. Okay, we're good. Bam, 1898. Let's see that right-wing government or a centrist government. Hopefully the centrist isn't that bad. It's usually like -15% to GDP growth, but we'll see if it is as bad. The Center Party, yep. And, oh, it's only -5. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Oh, it's 11%. See? There you go. Bam. The important part about waiting for that other barbette, too, is even if we decide to later refit these hulls to have, I don't know, 6 centerline or 5 centerline guns, we still have the barbette availability. So, even though it's not quite what you'd hope for a Dreadnought, it'll still be fine. So, Harvey steel armor. The Dreadnought 1, we are going to do 21.5 if possible. Advanced Tower 1. Advanced Secondary Tower 1 with a big funnel and another big funnel. With induced, no. Medium triple expansion, no. Okay, so we can't quite get there with 2 funnels, so we'll have to do 3. And drop it down to 21 knots. There we go. Okay. It's a lot less unreasonable in terms of a Dreadnought top speed. We'll make the quarters better. We'll definitely increase the beam a little bit. Oh, really? Okay. Can we do 10%? No, okay. Maybe we won't increase the beam. 0%. Let's keep that engine efficiency high. We have an auxiliary engine, a petrol engine. Oh boy. Hydraulic steering gear rather than steam steering gear. Still using coal, but we're using expansion engines and induced boilers. We've got the first generation anti-torpedo bulge. Double bottom, very nice. A reinforced bulkhead, some anti-flooding protection. Still Citadel 1, the stereoscopic rangefinder 1. Secondaries, we have access to 8-inch guns. They really don't fit the hull. Even though they do technically fit the hull. Can we do 7 inches without it looking weird? No, of course not. Let's try 6-inch guns. That's fine. 6-inch guns work without literally poking out of the hull. There we go. Enhanced loading with gun cotton, because if we go with picric acid, it increases the chance of the ammunition exploding. So we're not going to use that. We'll go to probably white powder for the accuracy and range. Heavy shells with we'll do armor piercing. No, we'll do semi-armor piercing for now. It's like a kind of a intermediate between a high explosive and an AP shell. If it doesn't penetrate, it explodes on the armor, is essentially what it does. Right, now we need the primary armament. So we're going to probably use medium superimposed barbette 4s with centerline 13-inch guns. There we go, that looks fine. Look at that. And then this is why we had to wait, so we can do this. And then on the back, we can do that. Wonderful. Alrighty. And what sort of reload time are we looking at right now? 86 seconds with the enhanced reloading. Okay, so we won't make the guns longer. Oh, especially because these are Mark IIs, yeah. It'll take forever to load and they're still not accurate, or very accurate yet. Now we're left with armor. Or we do side guns. We could do side guns just for a bit of fun, but for now, let's see what sort of armor we can get on here. It's 13-inch guns, probably wanting, can we do 13-inch belts? We can, but how about a 12-inch belt? 3, and then we're still not in the area where I'm worried about the deck armor, but we're starting to get into longer ranges, so we'll go with 2-inch deck. 3-inch superstructure with a 12-inch conning tower and a 0.5-inch inner deck. Right in the barbette, we'll want thick 12, and then 2. And then, can we do 12? We can't do 12. How about 13? Yeah, I'm liking 12. And that's 24 plus 53% for the penetration into the barbette. That seems fine. And how many tons do we have left? 200, a little less than 200. Yeah, not looking like a twin 6-inch or even a 9-inch. Definitely not you. Yeah, that's way overboard. Yeah, I think we'll just leave it like this for now. What do you mean 4 sectors of fire? Which one? These are fine. Fine, 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 fine. We do have 200 tons to play with. Maybe we'll get the sectors of fire a little bit. So the green is where it can shoot. The yellow is where it can turn but not shoot. And the red is where it can't turn. Ideally, I'd have these rear guns far back enough that they could rotate all the way around, but this will be fine for now. I think, anyway. We've got a reasonably well-armored first Dreadnought. Oh, we do have some 4-weight offset, though. Now, pull you back. Can we go out to here? Almost. What if we got rid of some conning tower armor? There we go, and we got some 4-weight offsets. So aft, there we go. Oh boy. Okay, there we go. That seems alright, honestly. Oh, but we don't have torpedoes. You know what? This will be an all-gun ship. Probably a bad idea. What sort of penetration are we looking at with these 13-inch guns? The semi-armor piercing. At 5K. 2.9 on the deck and with HE. Okay, so still barely any deck pan, but enough. Is it enough though? No, you know what? We're gonna go with the capped. Capped, heavy. But we're going to give it more HE, I guess? Oh no, because now we can't. No, it's too heavy. 10-inch conning tower. Okay, still can't do that. 11.5-inch belt. There we go. And that shall be our first Dreadnought. And of course, the first Dreadnought will need an escort. Oh, but should we wait until these are out? Yeah, because Dreadnoughts take a really long time to build. Well, a really long time. It'll probably take around more than a year to build. So, we will we'll design and construct a destroyer when it's closer to being finished. So that way the destroyer has more technology, more advanced technology, ideally, by the time it gets to building. All right, BB, the Hatsue class. And we get another one? I don't think we can. 24,000 tons now. Oh, yes, we can. Look at that. We can build all 4 of our Dreadnoughts for our first task force immediately. Let's get all these ships over here. And let's deploy these guys in Sasebo like all the other battleships. See, 19 months. Wow. Okay. So I wouldn't be too worried about getting them exactly on time. What, you didn't want to make it exactly 900 tons? Okay. Let's see, what can we do for a destroyer? Still coal, we have to do induced. We do a triple expansion, or a multiple expansion actually, with a auxiliary petrol engine and some Harvey armor. Double bottom it with bulkheads, anti-flooding, and a coincidence rangefinder with a minesweeper 1 and a mine layer 3. Sounds reasonable. Let's get some funnels on here. There we go. A main gun. This is starting to look more and more like an actual destroyer. Oh, we're running out of capacity though. Less bulkheads, I guess. It's never a good idea, but well, try tightening it up a bit. If we make these things closer together, then the belt armor is. Now we're super 4-weight offset. Great. Put these at the back, I guess. Get another 5-inch gun. There we go. And then we'll put. I'd like 2 tubes if possible. How long a range are these now? 3 kilometers. Not good. Definitely want 18-inch if we can get away with it. Gun cotton and white powder sounds better. A cap shell sounds better. I would do electric, but you know, these are 5-inch guns. They're not going to take too long to rotate anyway. Let's see if we can get this a little tighter. Actually, why don't we pull the front back instead of the back forward? Almost. Just trying to get that. There we go. Now we've got an 8% 4-weight offset. Great. How's that? We can move that. And these can go back a little further. There we go. There we go. That's a pretty good destroyer. How fast are we going? Not quite our top speed, but definitely fast enough to way outpace our Dreadnought. So that's all we really need. There we go. So we'll build 8 destroyers. They will take 7 months to build. Look at that. We nailed it right on the head. Sasebo, yes. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Perfect. Alright. Do we do our politics this turn? Not yet. Piss off the Chinese. There we go. Now we will refit this warship. So these are the Mark III 9-inch guns. We will, of course, tear them off. Oh, no, the whatever these are. 4-inch guns, yeah. Tear off the 9-inch guns. We will put on twin 9-inch guns. There we go. With induced boilers and a medium engine with aux. And there we go. Hydraulic steering with Harvey armor. Barbette 3 with an anti-torpedo bulge and anti-flooding with reinforced bulkheads. It'll take 3 months to refit each ship, but definitely worth it to actually make this thing functional. Give it bigger torpedoes with electric turrets, enhanced reloading with gun cotton and white powder, with capped shells and nose fuse with HE priority. We have a whole bunch of excess engine capacity or engine efficiency. So let's see what we can get up to with the top speed. 17 knots. Ooh. 18? No, too far. Okay, and what about 17.5? There we go. So there we go. We've got a much better pre-Dreadnought style heavy cruiser that we've made a whole bunch of, and now they can be even better. 0.3 is not that much, and I don't want to fiddle with it that much, so there we go. We could probably kill a pre-Dreadnought battleship now. Should we just do the whole lot? No, that's a terrible idea. Let's do 4 at a time. Because, yeah, now we're losing 6 million, so we gotta go down and budget again. There we go. And hopefully someone will try and buy our warships again. Or I get an event that'll give me a whole bunch of money from the government. A minister will come in and say, I think we need more battleships. And you're like, yes, I agree. Give me $150 million. Now we will officially have 4 brand new state-of-the-art warships that could completely destroy any warship in the game at the current moment. Which is why I want to start a war, because if they're just sitting in our ports doing nothing, they're kind of just useless. Patience is over. We must reply. Telegraph, threaten for war, using our latest warm incidents. Okay. Yeah, war. War with the Chinese. Have at ye. There we go. And battleship funnels, Krupp Armor 1, very nice. Canada wants a battleship. You can have a battleship. And we even managed to piss them off even further. Hooray. We're also making a whole bunch of money now because the government is throwing money into the army to get it up to scratch. So we'll do crew training. We have to go off limited now. So we will take basically everything and put it onto defend. Except for our Dreadnoughts and our destroyers, which we will move out and try to engage this Chinese Empire fleet. There we go. So if we're in the same region, we should get a naval battle. And we may end up with naval battles just with defending too. So we'll see. Are we still... Oh, we're losing money now. Oh, good. Our economy wasn't quite ready for a war, but let's see how well we do. As long as we can engage with our Dreadnoughts and not with as many of our cruisers or pre-Dreadnoughts, then we should win every engagement. We don't have that kind of money, so unrest and naval prestige. Unfortunate. Well, we do. We technically have that kind of money, but I want a buffer, right? Okay, we're only growing at 2% now. The Chinese are shrinking at 3%. Oof. And we are no longer at risk of starting a war with the French. That's perfect. We've got a convoy battle. Our torpedo boats versus their torpedo boats. They have a much larger torpedo boat, but we are only going for the convoy, so... What? We actually... Okay, what an auto-resolve, okay. We sank. Alright. Fair enough. Doesn't make any sense, but fair enough it is. Naval invade. We can invade... Oh yeah, this island. Well, I'd like to fight the Chinese fleet, actually. But, you know, that might not happen, you know. Let's use these dreadnoughts. Yes! Yes! Finally. What do we have here? Oh, I think we have semi-dreadnought. Interesting. I can't really see the top of this. If you're watching devs, could you like adjust this so I can actually see the top of the list? Thank you. Top speed is 16 knots, so probably not a... Well, it might be a semi-dreadnought. It's 9,000 tons at least. Okay. Trained crew. Perfect. Let's do that. They are to the southwest. We will take these guys off the screen. We will put them on follow. Follow the dreadnoughts. Can you follow the dreadnought? Thank you. This is the battle line. This is a normal ahead. Avoid each other. No, don't bother avoiding each other, but there we go. These will be our scouts, and the battleships will be the battleships, as you might expect. Oh, we've got some lovely lagging out there. Or not lagging out. It freaks out when the weather changes. Just a little bit. Don't worry. Our ships don't take damage from running into each other. They used to, back in the day. But that just ended poorly for the AI, because you could micromanage all of your ships crashing into each other. The AI could not. So you'd end up with half the enemy fleet sinking if it was a major engagement. Before you even saw them. I should mention. We are at times 10 max speed, so we're kind of closing with the enemy, I think. The plan is the destroyers will scout, ideally spot the enemy dreadnought, and then enemy pre-dreadnought probably, and then we'll make a guess on where the enemy fleet is based on that. Okay, there we go. Our destroyers have been spotted. Let's start turning our battleships to give a broadside. Oh, they're coming right at us. Oh boy. Alright. We will start running away then. Now this is our weather effects, so moderate waves with rainy weather with galing wind. How we even found each other in this weather is a mystery. We literally are incapable of engaging the enemy at 6 kilometers because of how bad the weather is. Let's slow down to 15 knots. Maybe that'll give us more accuracy. At least enough to, fight something. I don't know if you saw it, but back there somewhere, a torpedo managed to run into the enemy. Whether it was theirs or ours, we'll never know. Probably ours, because I think we dropped a few, yeah. Are our 6-inch guns even within range? They are. Are they? Yeah, they are very in range, it's just they can't hit anything because of how terrible the weather is. So there's no point in us even really trying. Well, I guess we could get closer. We could try and get a little closer. And it's how far? What's our margin for the torpedoes? How far away they must have to be? 1 kilometer. So there's our torp bubble, and we have to stay away from these enemy ships. So we can get pretty close. Ooh, look at that. 5,000 damage on a penetrating hit from the destroyers. This is really not demonstrating how effective these warships are because of how terrible the weather is. There we go. 1 torpedo boat sunk. I think that'll be a win in the war. China, I will accept your surrender immediately. Our terms are you give us your entire country and say nothing. And as we can see in the fog, or the downpour that we're in right now, we can actually see the enemy still over here because they've deployed smoke. We can see the smoke. I don't know if you can. The bitrate might be completely destroying the visual, but suffice to say there's smoke over here that is, there we go, and that's coming from this light cruiser that we have now spotted. And then oh look, a battleship. We can actually take a look at that. Well, we actually have it spotted. Okay, it's not a semi-dreadnought, it's actually a coastal patrol vessel. I thought it was a semi-dreadnought because it had these side guns, but coastal patrol because it's weird like that. The Americans had a similar hull to this. Very old, weird ship design philosophy. It's honestly not a bad design for, like, 1830. Let's just say the British had better ideas basically the moment after they built Warrior. The moment they started building true ironclads with turrets on them, they came up with better ideas. Although that being said, they did have a lot of side guns originally. It was all part of the plan to be able to shoot forward and back with the main battery. You'd have a front gun off to the front right and the back gun off to the back left, and then they could both shoot forward and both shoot backward and both shoot sideways, and then they'd have this massive superstructure around them. So they'd have some very limited arcs of fire, but they could still fire in the primary directions. And it would be down to the crew to maneuver it so it could fire properly. Oh my goodness, an overpen. So now that you see an actual enemy battleship, you can start to understand why we're in any other fight this would be a crushing and easy and rather quick defeat, because we are outranging them significantly. They can't even hit our... Oh, there we go. They finally started shooting at us. Let's pop our smoke so it's harder for them to hit us. Hopefully these guys don't torpedo us. Yeah, okay, cool. Ah, don't shoot us. Got a little too close to the battleship there. If it wasn't raining quite as badly, we could actually hit the enemy. Yeah, unfortunately, we've taken a few hits to the destroyers, which means it's time to bring out the other destroyers, which is why we have 8. Oh, we might lose one. Oh my goodness, we've lost the destroyer. Unfortunate. Well, that's what they're there for, I suppose. And with weather like this, it was bound to happen, honestly. Getting blindsided by something that's too close to us is basically par for the course in terrible weather like this. I would prefer if you targeted the torpedo boat that's getting strikingly close to us. Prefer if we didn't get that close to it either, because our battleships are about to start hitting us instead. There you go. 6,000 damage and it didn't sink. Are you serious? There you go. Yeah, once we get the Mark III guns, even fights like this will be significantly faster. Because our guns will be significantly more accurate, and, well, more importantly, they'll be loading a lot faster, which means we can make them longer, which means they can make them even more accurate on top of the additional version that we're... Oh my goodness. Yeah. Again, in battles like this with not being able to see anything, and specifically when there's a lot of enemy light ships around, you do see that a lot, where your shells just miss, and they fly off into the water behind them, and something that you can't see gets struck and sunk. Starting to get them back in view again. There we go. It's all about staying outside their range while maintaining your range. This is a heavy cruiser, I think. Yes. Oh, they went with twin guns. Man, they wouldn't be able to hit us if they tried. Twin 8-inch guns, yeah. Max range of 5 kilometers. We are engaging at... Ugh, come on now. 4.2. So we're beyond their max range, or we're just at their maximum range. And then we're also in this awful weather, so their accuracy is terrible. We gotta turn back away with the destroyers, otherwise we might end up shooting our destroyers accidentally with the battleships. I would prefer if you all maintained your fire on this cruiser that's getting closer to us. There you go. All it takes is one. Oh no, that was a torpedo. Torpedo hit. Main belt ammo detonation. Yeah, that would do it. He didn't fire a torpedo, did he? No, he didn't. Perfect. Again, it'll get to the point where the heavy cruisers will be, that range will be within range of torpedoes, and then we have to start to worry. Assuming we do nothing and don't upgrade our Dreadnoughts at all. Of course, if we keep updating the Dreadnoughts, it'll be less and less of a problem. Because they'll be able to see further and shoot more accurately at farther distance. And these twin 13-inch guns, at least the Mark III version of them, will be the cream of the crop for a while in terms of gunnery. We could theoretically move up to 14s when the tech becomes available, but I think we'll probably stick with 13s, twin 13s, and just do more of them. Because as Japan, we have access to some very interesting hull designs with a lot of deck space. So you can get away with more smaller guns rather than fewer larger guns. Yeah, another thing about this weather, I'm sure you've noticed, is that all of our ships are limited in their top speed. So our destroyers are limited to going 25 knots rather than their 32 maximum. It's not so much of a problem for our Dreadnoughts because they'd be going 15 knots anyway to maximize their accuracy buff from our own cruise speed on the left there. I can't really hover over it because I need to show the target, but you see on the left, near the bottom section, we have own cruise speed is a plus 16% to our accuracy because we're going at the bottom of full speed, which means we're getting a buff to our accuracy for not going our maximum speed. We're going the speed that the guns are designed to function at. So whatever vague, primitive stabilization system we have in there, if we even have that, or whatever sighting we have, or leading indicators, whatever we've got that helps us aim better, is designed to work at 15 knots. Honestly, we could just be eyeballing it, but we've probably got like a math. Probably like a fire control area up here where they've got like spreadsheets of ranges and speeds and such. Although that may be too early for this it may be too early for that anyway, right now. 1901. Who knows? Some historian somewhere probably knows, but not very important for us. Oh yeah, I suppose I should get some very nice shots of our close-in ships. It's kind of rough seas, so not the most beautiful, but still. Yeah, I don't know how. This is real time, so you can see how they're kind of able to aim. Despite how rocky it looks at 5 times speed, there is some stability there with how large the ship is. Like, you've probably got a 4 or 5 second or millisecond interval where your gun is where you think it should be, and that's when you fire. There we go. All the heavy all the heavy cruisers? I think all the heavy cruisers are dead. Oh yeah, another thing to note is because these ships, they're flashing low fuel, which means they are limited to half of their top speed because the Chinese logistics are so terrible that they have literally no fuel in them. So their max speed was probably around 9.2, yeah. Whereas their theoretical top speed is 19. Either way, they couldn't escape from us because our battleships go 21 knots and our destroyers go 32 knots, so no matter what, they couldn't escape us if they tried. Or at least these cruisers couldn't. And certainly not with low fuel. Too bad I didn't actually look at the top speed of the heavy cruiser, but I'm sure it was not more than 21 knots. Because it actually had an armament, which means there's no way a ship with that much armament could have had an engine that pushed it past its design top speed of probably 17, 18 knots. Oh my goodness, yeah, there you go. At this range, imagine that, but every single time the battleships fire with the Mark III guns and some good rangefinders. That's what they end up doing. Has the weather improved at all? Not in the time that we've been fighting. Sometimes the weather does change during these fights. Like, usually you'll see as the time ticks down, yeah, see, it's actually getting worse because we're getting, I think, later in the day, which means the sun is blinding our gunners, which, you know, shouldn't really be a problem considering the weather. Supposedly it is. Or our gunners, our rangefinders and fire control crew. Ah, we're getting too close. Stop, go this way. Wasn't paying attention, my bad. We want to kill all of the Chinese ships because the more we deal with in these big battles, the less battles we have to fight in general. There we go. And the less battles we fight in general, the less turns we take before we can conquer mainland China. Alrighty. There we go. Their smoke has run out, which means we can see them again. Hooray! Our rear guns can't fire. That's too bad. I do want to close with the enemy, though. Why they're not shooting at the closer ship, I will never understand. You literally have higher probability to hit this guy. Shoot him. Yeah, 6.9% rather than 3% or whatever it was. Ah, come on, sink him. There you go. Get a good pen. Main belt penetration with the high explosive round doing 13,000 damage. Yeah, what is this? Base fuse? No, a nose fuse, okay. Slightly less penetration, but still good. There we go. So the ships will always do a, well, typically they will do a ranging shot first. They'll fire one of the primary turrets to get a ranging shot, and then they'll begin firing with the whole ship's guns. So this should be a full salvo, or at least a full salvo of the guns that can see it. So these 3 turrets. They will. They also fire in salvos to limit the. You see on the left there, they're near the bottom. Gun recoil is a major factor. So if they all fire at the same time, the gun recoil of the other guns doesn't affect the accuracy. And there we go. One whole true engagement. The enemy got 1,000 victory points because they sunk one of my brand new destroyers, but we also got 43,000 for sinking the entire enemy fleet. 16 ships, so a large portion of their navy there actually just got sunk in a single battle because we're so early in the game that, well, so early. We're 10 years, we're only like 13 years into the game, so not that big of fleets yet. And the fleets that do exist are, oh, I see you were kicking their ass, so they want us to sign a peace treaty. We will fight them to the end. And we lost the thing. Greece wants a torpedo boat. Perfect. So we sunk 16 ships. So 49 plus 16, they had 65, so it's 24% of their entire navy. So we sunk nearly a quarter. Rounding up, we got a quarter of their navy in a single fight. So now they're building 29 ships, but they're down to 4 battleships, 9 heavy cruisers, 17 light cruisers, and 19 torpedo boats. Alright, well, I guess we'll start invading then. And then a nation Chinese Empire Revolution. So we completely demolished their entire, a quarter of their navy, and that caused the government to collapse. War continues after failed negotiations. The head of the Admiralty was kicked out. We've sunk some Chinese transports in the East Asia Sea region. Portugal wants a light cruiser. Venezuela would like some destroyers. And the Germans are trying to provoke us. Is that a concern? No, not yet. Alright, and now we can start. Oh yes, so China had a revolution. So they are now a democracy, but they are a left-wing democracy. So a lot worse to GDP growth, a lot better for unrest and province income, bad for your naval budget, bad for your military power, but it's good for keeping people happy. And more importantly, when they get smashed in naval battles, they're less likely to collapse. We need 38. Oh no, this is better. 18,000 tons to successfully invade this port. So what we do is we park our navy real close to it, and in theory, one of our battleships should be enough to successfully invade. But because we have 4, we probably have a guaranteed invasion here. We only have a 76% chance of success, despite outmatching the Chinese more than triple, more than quadruple even, the demands of the invasion. The pre-Dreadnoughts up here, and we will set them to invade rather than sea control, and hopefully they won't get into any fights. No. Okay, it looks like we didn't get the province. We did get to bombard the port. There we go. Oh, and look at that. We have another battle. Hopefully. This is with... Oh, no, this is with our pre-Dreadnoughts. Oh, good. Place is nice out. In fact, I so thoroughly don't want to fight this fight, I think we'll just leave. Northeast, let's go southwest. Oh, are we actually in range? Neat. We can actually see them. Oh no, he's got Mark II guns. Uh-oh. Twin Mark II 9-inch guns. We might be able to actually kick his ass. Maybe. We could give it a shot, I suppose. Alright. Let's run a retreating battle. But we will run a battle. Oh, especially because I don't think we will be able to run away because these torpedo boats are kind of catching up to us. Let's run away this way. Much more modern than our ships. We may be screwed here slightly. Let's shoot that one. There we go. 9, 11%. Alright, so we've got some reasonable chances to hit now. Unfortunately, they are still Mark I guns, so they take forever to reload. Yeah, and see, even with 69% chance to hit, we still missed both shots. There we go. 1 hit. Take that. 3 hits. Oh my goodness. 4 whole hits. There you go. Yeah, you have to do knife fighting with these ships. Otherwise, you're here forever. Because they won't spot it until it's way too late. Actually, our torpedo might hit him. Ooh, oh, it did! Look at that. There we go. Perfect. Shoot this one now. Actually, I wonder if we can use these garbage torpedo boats to come in and broadside this hailing closer broadside, but oh good, this one's dying. Well, if we can get onto this side, we can draw its focus away from the battleships at least. Ideally, I'd like to get here. Oh, we've let it loose. Run away. Oh, we've dropped another one. Let's detach this guy and have him go this way, whereas the rest can come this way. A dud. 2 duds? Yeah, seems about right. Alright, well that was about as dramatic as it was gonna be. Yeah, we're just losing points with these things, okay. They don't even have smoke generators. Well, we did manage to fire 1 torpedo, and that torpedo did nothing, so... I swear that just the torpedo boats do have a purpose. It's just they do not fulfill them very well in this early stage of the game. Because the battleships are so short range that they don't actually need a spotter, because the battles are taking place at like a kilometer. Or, yeah, 1.7 kilometers. Oh my goodness! He hit the magazine. Ammo detonation. Damn. Killed the entire crew in a single shot. Sink this guy with the torpedo hit, maybe. With such extreme angles, even his fancy 9-inch guns won't be able to penetrate ideally, hopefully here. Can we get that torpedo off, please? There you go. Midships. Yeah, there you go. Another one, perfect. Get him with the triple tap? No, not quite. Alright, there we go. That was significantly better than ours pre-Dreadnought. Sunk by our bad pre-Dreadnoughts. Alright, battleships that are now extremely damaged. Let's go back here and repair. Well, we've got $257,000. Let's finish upgrading all of our heavy cruisers. And I guess we can try and refit the light cruisers to hopefully have a better version of guns. There we go. Let's go for Krupp 1 with induced boilers, medium 2 triple expansion, or multiple expansion 2 engine. Barbette 3 with a double bottom with reinforced bulkheads. Citadel 2, oh boy. How exciting. TNT. Excellent. Electrical turrets with enhanced reloading and 18-inch torpedoes with a coincidence rangefinder. Mine layer 2. Enhanced reloading. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Good, good. Cap ballistic cap 1 with a nose fuse. Yes. Functional ship up and coming here. We've got Mark II 4-inch guns. We got a Mark II 6-inch gun. Even more Mark II 4-inch guns. Oh, was that the torpedo launcher? Oops. There we go. And then, how fast can we get this ship to go? 19 knots. 20 knots. Nope. 19.5 knots. There we go. 2 months to refit. Seems reasonable. Go down to natural? We can go down to natural. Might as well. If we don't have to do induced, then that's fine. Increase our range a little bit. Wonderful. Cruiser upgrade. And while we're spending all our money, let's get all of these cruisers upgraded at the same time. I think we can. No, not quite. Oh boy. Alright, hold on. We gotta suspend a few of them. There we go. Now all those ships will be refit, and we don't have to worry about Mark I guns anymore. Because that performance was pretty terrible before, and I don't want to quite... Nah, maybe we'll wait until we get 12-inch Mark IIIs. To hell with those torpedo boats, because those were just so sad that I'm just going to scrap them. Nobody should have to own those. Let's try and do this naval invasion with China. Oh my goodness, they finished another battleship? They're up to 7. What? They built 3 battleships in like 4 months. Now, what are these battleships? Like, how can they afford them? They must be just terrible. Just utterly. Peace, no. Transports, sunk. Better towers. Sure, you can have a terrible torpedo boat, and yes, you can have a battleship. In theory, 92% chance of success. In practice, though, we'll see if this 92% actually happens. Oh, hey, we successfully did the naval invasion too. Cool. Uh, well, I don't know how we did that. We successfully managed to not die to random horde of torpedo boats. And now we have a foothold in mainland China. So, I think I'll leave it off there. We've seen battle, we've seen the first 14 years of gameplay. We've seen the effectiveness of our dreadnoughts and some random bullshit occurring. Somehow, China has gained $3 billion of GDP despite its economy shrinking. So, I don't know how that works. Because we were larger than them. Okay. So anyway, thank you for watching. And join me next time for when we, continue to invade China.